Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to, today we're going to be ranking all of the U.S. presidents. Now, we got them all here in the tiers, and, yeah, we're just going to get started here. This is going to be a ranking of all the presidents on the tier list. So I'm not going to stall too much here, but let's see here, we got a ton of tiers here. I don't know why we have so many tiers. We have S. We're going to have to get rid of some of these. We got S, A, B, B minus, C plus, C, C minus, D plus, D, and E. Yeah, we're going to have to change some of these. So instead of E, we're going to make this F. Make that F. Actually, I think I can just do this. We got to have F tier. You cannot have a tier that's not an F tier, because there's going to be a lot of presidents in F tier. A lot of bad presidents in our country's history. D's fine. I don't really like D plus. We'll probably just get rid of this entirely, because we don't need D plus. There's really no reason to have that. We got D. We don't need C minus either. Delete. We don't even need C plus. I don't know why they got so many tiers here. There's not even that many presidents. So there's B minus. Let's delete this. Alright, here we go. The classic S, A, B, C, D, and F. Alright, so as you can see, we got all the presidents here. I believe they are all on here, except Joe Biden. I don't see Biden. I don't think Biden's on there. So we're going to put all these in order here. So we got Washington, Adams, Jefferson, James Madison. Where's James Monroe at? There he is. James Monroe. John Quincy Adams. Andrew Jackson. Where's Andrew Jackson at? Shoot! Where's Andrew Jackson? Oh my god, I can't find him. Oh my god, where's he at, dude? Don't tell me they forgot to put him on there. Oh my god, I cannot find him. Who is this here? That might be Herbert Hoover. Did they just not even put Andrew Jackson on there? Because I don't see him. Alright, we got to go through this list here. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, John Quincy Adams. That's Franklin Pierce. That's James Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S Grant, Rutherford B Hayes, Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, McKinley, Roosevelt, Taft. Yeah, I didn't put Andrew Jackson in, so we got to find a new tier list. U.S. presidents. They didn't even put Andrew Jackson. Why did you forget Andrew Jackson, dude? Yeah, he's not on there. No, he's right there. I'm a freaking... Oh, my God, dude. Oh, I'm such an idiot. There's Andrew Jackson. All right, we got Martin Van Buren. Where's he at? Now, I'm going to try not to stall too much on this. But, where's Martin Van Buren? I know, I saw him earlier. Here he is. Martin Van Buren, William Harrison, John Tyler, Polk. I don't know why that picture's so big. Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore. I don't know why these are in order. Frank Pierce, James Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S Grant. I think these are all in the order for the most part. The rest of them. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, so this one only goes up to Trump, so they don't have Biden for this tier list, but that's okay. So, alright, so we're going to get started here. Basically what I'm going to be doing is talking about the presidents and putting them in a rank, in a category here. S, A, B, C, D, F. I've done plenty of these before, so you should know what's happened. So, let's start off here with George Washington. So, George Washington has got to be one of the worst presidents, if not the worst president we've ever had in American history. He was such a terrible president. Basically, he's the first guy in there. He started the country's history off really bad. Basically, he's the leader of the Continental Armies in the Revolutionary War, which rebel against Great Britain to prefer democracy over monarchy, which is just wrong. I mean, and this guy, he owned countless of slaves as well. Didn't do a good job putting down the Whiskey Rebellion. All he did was send troops in there. He should have shot up the place, but he didn't. He was being a wimp, so... I think we're going to put Washington in F tier. Did not do good with our country starting out. He didn't even get us involved with the French Revolution, which we should have gotten involved in, because I think that would have really been a good thing. So Washington, got to be F tier. Seceding from Great Britain Why would you do that to my man George III Washington? That is just not good. And again, he owned a ton of slaves. I don't care that he freed them in his will. He owned them. Next up, we got John Adams here. Now, John Adams was an interesting president. Now, I think Adams was actually pretty solid. He was a monarchist, so I'm going to give him that. He was one of the best founding fathers, siding with the British on a ton of things, and even being from Massachusetts. He actually was during the Boston Massacre in 1770. He was on the trial and defended the soldiers. Obviously, during his presidency, he passed the Alien and Sedition Acts, two of the probably best acts ever signed in American history. So that reason, we got to give Adams, I think I'm going to give him an A tier. I don't think he's good enough for an S, but he was a monarchist. You know what? We should probably put him in S tier, just for the fact of being a monarchist. So, dang, right out of the gates, we got an F tier and S tier. A ton of you guys would probably agree Washington was one of the worst presidents ever. And then Adams probably one of the best. I wouldn't say he was the best of all time, but he was very, very good. Best president of that time period. Next, we got Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson is another really bad one. Obviously, signs the Declaration of Independence, and we're talking about secession and rebellions against the British. He was the guy who wrote most of that paper, so he's getting an F tier as well. Again, he was another major slave owner from Virginia. Owned more slaves, I think, than almost any other president, and he also had some affairs with the slaves as well, so Jefferson's got to be an F tier. Madison. Now, Madison, I gotta say, he was decent. He was not very good, honestly, overall. So then we're going to give Madison a D tier, honestly. Wasn't a very good president, obviously. He's the father of the Constitution. But a lot of the stuff in the Constitution is pretty stupid, in my opinion. So he doesn't really get too much credit for that. He was not as bad as Jefferson and Washington were, but he was still a pretty bad president. Obviously, getting us involved in the War of 1812 was a very unnecessary issue. Probably could have done something else to avoid that and drown it out way too long. So, Madison, again, not a very good president. He did own slaves as well. James Monroe, one of the biggest slave owners of all time, he issued the Monroe Doctrine, making it so that European countries could not settle in the Americas anymore. A major flaw on his part. He should have done that. This guy just hated Europe for some reason. Europe is one of the, if not the second best continent. So I'm just saying, Monroe Doctrine was a very dumb move on your part. The Missouri Compromise line was dividing this. He basically divided the country too with that. So Monroe is another F tier, one of the worst presidents. John Quincy Adams, I'd say he was probably a solid B president. Quincy Adams, not too much to say about him, but he did win the corrupt bargain election, so we got to give him points for that. And the election of 1824. With a four-way tie and a very qualified candidate. And he was the son of John Adams, who we already agree is the best president of the early 1800s and late 1700s. Next, we've got Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson, I gotta say, was probably one of the best presidents of all time. Obviously, removing the Native Americans from the country was a great move on his part because they suck. Obviously, a major racist, so that gives him extra points as well. With the Trail of Tears, he's responsible for the deaths of so many Native Americans, which a lot would agree one of the best acts signed, along with the Alien and Sedition Acts. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 was a great act as well. Getting all the Native Americans off because they don't belong on this land. This is for Americans only, not Native Americans. They need to get off the land. Next was Martin Van Buren. Van Buren, I'm going to put an A tier. Van Buren was a very solid president. Especially with his, the Panic of 1837 was a great time in history. Definitely made his reputation up. Sadly, he did lose in 1840, though. I got to put Van Buren up. Obviously, he dealt with the economy very well during his presidency. William Harrison has got to be the best president. Without a doubt, he's so good, we got to add a row above. We got to add an SSS plus tier, just like we did with the Monarchs. An SSS plus tier. Where's the plus at? Not on this keyboard here. Yeah, I don't know where the plus is at. Plus symbol. There it is. Alright, and Harrison's going in, obviously. The longest serving president of all time, 31 days in office. He does everything he can. He gets sick and dies. the best president. He did nothing to hurt this country, just like all the other presidents did, so I gotta give Harrison an SSS plus tier. Gotta be one of the best presidents of all time. Next up is John Tyler. John Tyler is another very solid president. I think we're going to give him an A tier. Obviously, John Tyler, the Whig Party got jealous after he was president. Takes in after Harrison. He ran with Harrison. The Whig Party does not nominate John Tyler in 1844, and it goes to Henry Clay. What the heck were they doing? This is another reason why the Whigs were trash. James Polk was a horrible president. Absolutely pathetic. He's going in the D category. Obviously, his violence, his aggressive hate towards Mexico and the Manifest Destiny, he just could not get that out of his mind. He's like, we need to get more land in the West, and just basically went to war with Mexico, which is really stupid because Mexico is kind of a third world country with not real military, so that was kind of a mean play there, Polk. Zachary Taylor, I gotta say, he's probably a middle-of-the-road type guy. He did own slaves as well. Polk also owned slaves. All these guys down here owned slaves. John Tyler did own slaves, but he was a good president, so that makes up for the fact. These guys down here, Monroe, Jefferson, Washington, Madison, Polk, they were terrible presidents time. So Zachary Taylor, middle-of-the-road guy, didn't do much. He was only there for a year. Obviously, he didn't do anything much of note. I mean, he did try to stop the Civil War from happening. I think it could have stopped it if he would have lived, but I don't know. Millard Fillmore, again, probably an S tier. I'd say Fillmore, one of the best presidents in history. Obviously, signs the Compromise of 1850. Zachary Taylor did not sign the Compromise, which was a terrible move on his part. He should have signed that. But luckily Zachary Taylor died in 1850, leaving Fillmore coming in office. Now, Fillmore signs the Compromise of 1850 and has the Fugitive Slave Law, which we all agree was a very great act, one of the best in history. Basically making it so you had to return escaped slave back to the South, which is a good thing because we don't want runaway slaves up here in the North. So that was a good act by him on his part, Fillmore. Next up, we got Franklin Pierce. Franklin Pierce, another very solid president. Put him in the A tier. He is famous for the Kansas-Nebraska Acts, another amazing act. These presidents, we had three of some of the best presidents in a row. Fillmore, Pierce, and Buchanan, probably the three best presidents. The 1850s was a great time in American history for presidents. Pierce, again, the Kansas-Nebraska Act was an amazing act because they went over basically. People from the North came in to vote out slavery, and then the people came in from the South voted in slavery. And it caused a shoot up the place. But Pierce did the right move, making them choose. It's not his fault they shot each other. Buchanan, gotta be an S tier as well. Not SSS plus quite, but he's gotta be an S tier. Buchanan, again, he tries his best, you know. He sticks with the law. Slaves are property at this time. Not anymore, but they were property at this time. He stuck with the law. He did not try to reform it. He basically said that's the law. Slaves are property. Not going to do anything to prevent this war. The Northerners are just, pieces of crap. And when they want equal rights, that's just wrong, in his opinion. And I totally agree with him. Next up, we got Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln got to be another F tier. He was probably the worst president of all time. Again, dude, freeing the slaves, dude, he could have done better than that. Basically, is basically just getting rid of Buchanan, Fillmore, and Pierce's policies. The three best presidents, followed by this absolute trash bag right here, just completely screwed up the country. He's president during the Civil War, which was the greatest war in American history. So obviously, that was really dumb. His part freeing the slaves there. James Buchanan. Not James Buchanan. Andrew Johnson, another amazing president. We'll put him in S. Andrew Johnson was the guy who started the Jim Crow system, which segregation in the South. He obviously was not happy with the slave freeing. And he was obviously Lincoln's vice president. But Andrew Johnson was a great president. And basically all that racial segregation in the early 1900s and late 1800s, you can blame on him, which was a very nice thing for him to implement to this country. Ulysses S Grant is next. Grant was he was pretty good. I'd say he was B. I wouldn't say he's one of the best presidents we've ever had, but as a president, obviously he was a horrible general in the Civil War. Probably the worst general in the Civil War. Not as bad as Robert E. Lee, though, but he was pretty bad. If it wasn't for Sherman, man, he would have probably died. So, again, he did choose some very good cabinet members. I'll give him that. For that reason alone, we're going to give him there. And he listened to a lot of people, which was good, because a lot of these other presidents didn't really listen to others, and they kind of stuck their own thing. He actually was very naive, and that really helped him out there. Next up, we have Rutherford B Hayes. Another one of those A-tier guys. One of the best presidents. He loved the job. He obviously won the presidential election of 1876. Samuel Tilden actually cheated in that election. They blame Hayes for cheating, but it was actually Tilden. Garfield has probably got to be an SSS plus as well. He's president for about 6 months, give or take. Obviously gets shot early on, so he probably would have been even higher, but again, just did a lot during his presidency. Did everything from more than any other president, except Harrison. Harrison did more than him. Chester Arthur's got to be an A tier, right? I mean, Arthur, one of the best presidents in history. Obviously, he wasn't even born in the U.S., so you can't really blame him for all these reasons down here. So, Arthur, again, usually considered to be one of the better presidents. Grover Cleveland, I'm going to give him a B. Not too much to say about Grover Cleveland, but he was a very good president. And obviously served 2 non-consecutive terms, the only president to do so. So that's how that goes. Benjamin Harrison, an A as well. Just a great guy. That's all really I got to say about him. And he was the grandson of William Harrison. William McKinley was basically trash as well. We're going to give him a C tier. Basically trying to gobble up all the territory in the ocean after Manifest Destiny was gone during the Spanish-American War. Was a very stupid thing that McKinley pulled off there. Very wicked strategy, if I do say so myself. Next up is Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt was trash as well. One of the worst presidents. He led the Rough Riders in the Spanish-American War, which we already said was bullcrap. He built the Panama Canal, causing so many people to die, and he was just a piece of crap. Nothing you could really say good about Theodore Roosevelt. Taft, I'm gonna have to give a B. Not too much good to say about him, but he was a solid president. Better than all these weirdos. Woodrow Wilson. Gotta be an S tier as well. Wilson, one of the best presidents we ever had. Obviously screamed Klan movie in the White House. Got us involved in World War I. Was against women's rights, obviously, and supports prohibition. One of the best presidents, we gotta say. And his racist policies were very good for the time. Warren Harding. This is an interesting one. I think we're going to give Harding a good A. Or an A tier. We're going to give Harding an A tier. I love Warren Harding. He was a major kind of a party guy. Didn't really do much of the presidency. Hey, he was trying to have fun. He had affairs and scandals and just drinking. He was trying to make the presidency a good job and have fun, not really doing work. So, give props to him. Calvin Coolidge was trash as well. Got to be a D for Calvin Coolidge. Again, he barely even talked at all. His name was Silent Cal. So, again, what's the point of a president if you're not really going to speak much? Herbert Hoover. Interesting. I'm going to give him A just because of the Great Depression. The Great Depression hits during his time in office. Obviously, it was a great event. One of the brightest times in American history, I got to say, for Hoover. Now, we're going to call... let's see here. We're going to call Bruno here just a little bit here. Let's call him here. Call Queen Elizabeth II.
Calling Queen Elizabeth II.
Because he doesn't be here for FDR or for Franklin Roosevelt. Now, Franklin Roosevelt's trash as well. Just absolute garbage. President. Alright, here we go. See if he answers. If he doesn't answer, well then, that ain't good. Alright, so I think this is looking pretty good. This is pretty accurate tier list, right, guys? I'd say so.
This is Taylor's dad.
He's gonna get mad at me for not, whatever. Franklin Roosevelt, one of the worst presidents. The two Roosevelt presidents were both horrible, really. Obviously, the New Deal policies, terrible way trying to reform the country, trying to give the middle class rise. Dude, the middle class needs to stay out of it. Should be lower and upper. And again, he gets the small of World War II, but that wasn't his fault. It was Japan's fault. So I'd rank Japan in S tier for that. But again, if it was him that got us involved, he'd probably be an S tier. But nah, it wasn't his fault. And again, he didn't even declare war on Japan. It was Congress. So Congress would be an S tier for that in 1941. But and he serves a long time too. Just greedy, dude. 12 years in office, dude. Give someone else a chance. Harry Truman. Harry Truman's got to be an S as well, dropping the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Great move on his part, getting back at Japan for Pearl Harbor. And didn't kill Hirohito. He was the first guy to really show the United States, or show the world what nuclear supremacy was, and basically started the Cold War, which would last for about 45 years after he left office. Next, we got Dwight D Eisenhower. Eisenhower has got to be a D president. I wouldn't give him an F. Actually, we got to give him an F. I'd say Eisenhower. Eisenhower's pretty bad. Obviously, the interstate highway system, NASA, two terrible inventions in history. The interstate highway system was such a horrible act they passed it. We still have that to this day for some reason. I think we should have trails instead, where you walk from city to city, not drive. Your cars are stupid, dangerous, and kill people with cars. Walking, you're highly less likely to kill somebody. Kennedy! Alright, Kennedy's an interesting option. We'll give him a D. I wouldn't say he was horribly horrible, but he was pretty bad, honestly. As you can see. He was a horrible speaker. You know, like one of the worst presidents when it comes to speeches. Gave very he basically made people just lower the morale of the United States. And basically forcing us to go to the moon at the end of the decade and stuff. And I'm not a fan of how he handled the Cuban Missile Crisis. He probably should have just nuked Cuba and wiped it off the map. Let's see. Lyndon B Johnson. Let's see here. We're going to put him in an A, I'd say. I think A is good for Johnson. Lyndon B Johnson obviously signs the Civil Rights Act, which was a good act for that time. Again, he was a very interesting guy, but he was alright, I guess. You know, I think we got to give him a B. I think he was a little bit worse than people think. Nixon. Let's see. Richard Nixon. Now, this one's interesting because there's a lot of things I like about Nixon, a lot of things I hate about him. So we're going to just give him a C tier here. I don't think he was the worst president of all time, but he was pretty cool and stuff. So, Gerald Ford. I'd give him a solid B. Not too much to say about Ford. Jimmy Carter was a decent president. I'll give him an A for Carter. Obviously, terrible human being now, but obviously back then, during his presidency, he was a great guy. Ronald Reagan was trash. Obviously, he had dementia later in his term, as you can tell there, and, just didn't really do much. Probably should have just stuck with movie design. Didn't do very good for leading this country. He was a very old guy, too. Probably should have just, backed off. George Bush Sr., I give him a C. I don't think he was too terrible. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was very solid. I think we're going to give him an A. Bill Clinton. George W. Bush. Let's see here. I think he's another, I think we're going to give him a B. I think he was a decent president overall. Not too much terrible to say about him. Obama. Obama was pretty bad overall. I don't know what it is with these presidents in Medicare and stuff. Kennedy was the same way with Obamacare, and then Kennedy pushed for some stuff. It's just really weird. And Trump, obviously one of the worst presidents of all time. So, with that, I want to thank you guys for watching. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and April Fools! I don't agree with anything I said in this video.